Hello, and you're welcome to Global Business Insights, where we look deeper at the headlines from a business perspective. Brazil's Supreme Court will vote today on a ruling to ban social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. This was after X failed to appoint a new legal representative in Brazil before a court-imposed deadline. Justice Alexandre Moraes called for X to be suspended for allegedly spreading this information. Just out this morning, Nigeria's headline Purchasing Managers Index was up just slightly to 49.9 in August from 49.2 in July, but remained in a shallow contraction. The data, however, signaled a broadly stable picture for business conditions in the private sector. The stagnation in overall operating conditions, according to the report, was in line with the trend in business activity as companies posted a fractional reduction in business activity. That's for August, similar to what we saw in July. New business was up slightly, the exception being in the services sector, reversing a decline seen in July. That said, the pace of expansion was much softer than the series average. The Nigerian economy grew by 3.19% year-on-year in Q2 2024 from 2.98% year-on-year in Q1. China's manufacturing activity hit a six-month low in August, with factory gate prices falling and owners challenged in securing orders. The survey showed a lower Purchasing Managers Index to 49.1 from 49.4 in July, also the sixth consecutive decline, and could encourage policymakers to direct more stimulus support towards households. China hosts a summit of 50 African nations in Beijing this week. President Tinubu is already in Beijing to attend the summit, and we'll continue our chat on Tinubu in China, which comes at a time Nigerians accuse the government of being on a spending binge. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up to a new high last week. Additionally, U.S. gross domestic product grew 3% in the second quarter, surpassing previous estimates. European markets closed also high on Friday, the last trading day of August, as investors considered inflation data from around the world. On U.S. data, the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure indicated subdued growth in July, reinforcing the case for an interest rate cut this month. The core PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, excluding food and energy components, rose by 0.2% in July. That's month on month, and 2.6% year over year, in line with forecasts, also proving stability in inflation. Also, we got consumer spending, a key driver of the U.S. economy, increased by 0.5% in July, following a 0.3% rise in June, and also in line with estimates. Still in the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris, leading in the polls, is pitching more towards the center, as seen in her interview last week. The Democratic Party's presidential nominee is wooing more moderate voters and distancing her positions from the left of the party on immigration, energy, and foreign policy. She has also promised an opportunity economy focused on lifting middle-class Americans. In South Africa, the swift formation of a new coalition government after May elections has boosted investor confidence. Finance Minister Aug.to highlighted that the rand surged 3.7% against the dollar after President Cyril Ramaphosa's new cabinet announcement on June 29. Additionally, the FTSE Johannesburg Stock Exchange All-Share Index recorded a 6.6% increase during the same period. We also got a raft of data from the Central Bank of Nigeria on inflation expectations and business indices last week. The central bank says the surveys show businesses and consumers expect noticeable improvement in the business environment in 6 months' time. According to a press release yesterday, NNPC Limited is said to be under financial strain due to PMS supply costs, which it cannot fully recover, and which poses a threat to the sustainability of fuel supply. It says it is actively collaborating with relevant government agencies and other stakeholders to maintain a consistent supply of petroleum products nationwide despite the challenges. China's manufacturing activity fell to a 6-month low in August, pressuring policymakers to press on with plans to direct more stimulus to households. August manufacturing PMI down to 49.1 from 49.4 in July, also the 6th straight decline and 4th month in contraction. Last week, Canada announced tariffs of 100% on China's electric vehicles, which already face steep tariff barriers in America and the European Union. Exports still struggling in a soft global economy, and investments in the key property sector showing no signs of improvement. Investors also sagging in other sectors, not helping growth. Still on China, when President Xi Jinping opened the 9th Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit on Thursday, where he is expected to pitch plugging into China's green energy industry to leaders from Gambia, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. We continue to look at President Tinubu's ongoing visit to China at a time when his government has come under sharp criticism of being extravagant. Senior business analyst Lekon Shote comments on the trip.
Early last week, Ajuri Ngelale, Chief Press Secretary to the President, announced that President Bola Tinubu will be traveling to China this week. Already, today, 1st September 2024, the President has arrived in China. And according to Ajuri, his visit to China the purpose of his visit to China, will include signing MOUs on agriculture, the broader economy, the green economy, marine economy, satellite technology. But hitherto it looked like the purpose of his trip was shrouded in some level of secrecy. But now, when you look at the ministers that accompanied him, you get a clearer picture of what is likely to be discussed over there. That includes the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Gas, the Minister of Works, and the Minister of Defense. Now, they keep talking about the summit of China-Africa Cooperation, which will start on Wednesday. The President needs to be more intentional on this trip. The trade balance between Nigeria and China is roughly $1 billion annually in the favor of China. Nigeria should be thinking of how to improve Nigeria's export to China and other countries. One good way to do it is to develop Nigeria's steel industry. Also, develop rapid agro-allied industry. And Nigeria also needs to expand its railway network. Nigeria should be discussing all this with China that has the expertise in this area, so that we can expand the quality, the capability of the Nigerian economy to process raw materials from agriculture, from mineral resources, so that we can export at a higher price and then make more money. Nigeria should not just be attending a meeting whose purpose is broad-based across Africa and China. That's not specific enough. We need to be more intentional in our dealings with our foreign partners. Right now, the biggest problem of Nigerians seems to be the high cost of living occasioned by the government policies of removal of fuel subsidy, collapsing of the foreign exchange regime, and over the years, inappropriate macroeconomic policies. Now, it is strange that whereas government and government officials are appealing to Nigerians to bear with the policies and allow the policies to sit in because they are long-term solutions to the problems. Because government officials themselves are seeming to live as if they are on a binge. Reports indicate that the government bought a presidential jet, a yacht, and an Escalade for the president. Bought several SUVs for the office of the unconstitutional office of the First Lady. Spent so much money repairing the residential quarters of the Vice President in Abuja as well as in Lagos. Creating several ministries, appointing 49 ministers and an army of political appointees. But it is, still within recent memories that a military government of General Olusegun Obasanjo adopted what he called the low-profile policies, so that even the military head of state, General Obasanjo himself, was driving around in a 504 saloon car. Even in recent times, the young men who took over government in Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, Mali, and the rest of them are running low-profile companies. They have managed to avoid the extravagant perquisites of office for themselves. One just wonders why the president and the president's men think they should just go out and be spending money lavishly while also preaching to Nigerians to please accept the policy, the belt-tightening policies, as a matter of fact, of their government. Well, if they will just adapt to the situations and lead by examples, their policies will be better accepted by the people of Nigeria, and then criticisms will also reduce.
Still on Nigeria, NNPCL press release warned challenges in continuing to supply PMS at high costs that it cannot fully recover. My sense has always been that the present business model in the Nigerian downstream sector, indeed in the oil and gas sector, is unsustainable and goes beyond PMS scarcity, a symptom of broader issues. The markets need to settle to free play and deregulated pricing, with more participants in a more open and transparent downstream market. Government stake in NNPCL should be partially sold to private hands to allow it better access to capital and enable autonomous operations fully independent from government. Asian stock markets were subdued as investors assessed China's business activity numbers released over the weekend and braced for data releases, providing more clues on US rate cuts later in the month. The holiday in the US and Canada also implies thin liquidity, also as wins for far-right parties in German state elections, also adding a fresh layer of political uncertainty. Well, that's it from me on Global Business Insights. This is Bode or Shosani. Thanks for sharing and following or subscribing on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and X. Bye-bye.